Welcome. I'm so honored that you're joining me today on Reclaim Your Life event. I'm Mal Duane, the host and the producer of the show. I'm a life recovery coach and a transformation guide for women, helping them to reclaim their lives and discover their authentic voice. This is the third season of Reclaim Your Life, featuring leading visionaries and heart-centered women whose passion through their work is to serve others and share their gifts to make the universe a better place. Each guest will share how they have transcended extraordinary challenges, loss, and in some cases deep trauma to become the women they are today. And I have to tell you, I have one of my most favorite people on the planet joining me today. She's always a breath of fresh air. She's like a Halley's Comet of color. It doesn't get any better. Lainie Love Dalby is a visionary artist and a transformational leader with her own brand of multimedia ministry. Recently pegged as a global midwife for the 21st century, she will activate you to amp up your aliveness, claim your gifts, sparkle shamelessly, and create your life as a great masterpiece for the good of all. Her diverse containers for transformation and expertise in authentic soul expression have been featured in online global summits, TV, radio shows, presented at institutions such as Cornell University, the New School and Scope, and she is sought after by everyone from cultural creatives to art collectors to celebrity stylists. She's also been featured in the New York Times, New York Art Magazine, Marie Claire, Paper, and Time Out New York and other media outlets, where because of her marriage of unmistakable style and profound consciousness raising, she's often referred to as the Lady Gaga of consciousness, and absolutely you get my vote. So I'm so honored that you're taking this time to spend with me and the listeners to share your magnificence, Lainie, because you are absolutely drop-dead fabulous. Hi, girl!
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Mal. Hello, ladies, and anyone who may be listening. It's a deep, deep honor to be with you here today.
You know, we met last winter at a summit or I should say a program at Kripalu that was wonderful. And I was just in awe of you and your aliveness and your joy of who you are in your life. But I know it probably wasn't always like that. I know that there's been a journey that has brought you where you are, and I'd love for you to share that journey with us.
Okay, that's a big one, but
I
I'll
know.
take on. So for me, it is true that I haven't always been in this state of aliveness and joy and fully expressing myself with a level of comfortability and ease and grace that I do now. And it really started when I was a young girl. I actually grew up obese and had extreme self-hatred from a very early age. That wasn't very supported in my family. And I definitely felt very much like an outsider and a loner and an outcast very early on. And I really never felt a sense of belonging because I didn't have that sense of belonging within, and I didn't have a connection to anything larger than myself at the time. And, I went through a series of different life events that really led me to the edge of suicide in 2009, which was a very painful time in my life. And I had just become an empty shell because I had never truly tried to discover what my inner truth was. I was so busy trying to live externally and live on the surface and be, expressive externally, but it wasn't internally that I had discovered the true light that I had. So I was desperately trying to be out in the world externally, but internally I felt very empty because I didn't really know myself and I didn't know my truth and I didn't know what gifts I had to bring to the world. And through those series of events, and that darkness, the illusion, I was really lost in the sort of la la land of illusion for many years, being in the worlds of fashion and art. And when I came to the edge of suicide, I knew that I had to make a choice. And I knew that I couldn't continue living the way that I had been living, because it wasn't serving me and it wasn't serving anyone else. I was completely self-obsessed. I was really sort of an egomaniac and very, very closed down to my heart. And so at that edge, I really made the decision that it was time to start living and that I had to do a whole system transformation. And, I had a friend who, synchronicity would have it, had told me about a spiritual center. And the next morning, I got up and I went to that spiritual center and I sat in the back and I just cried. Every week I went back and I sat in the back and I cried because I was hearing truth for the first time in so long. And my soul was so deeply resonating with that truth that I knew that I was on my journey back to home, back to finding that sense of wholeness that is innate within us that I had so lost touch with.
Do you think your soul spoke to you that day and kept you from committing suicide? Usually there's an internal voice that's not our own, that we hear for the first time, that says, oh no, you're not doing this today. That's what happened to me. I heard a voice that said, no, Mal, you can't leave now. You have way too much ahead of you, too much work to do, too many lessons to learn. And when you master those lessons, you need to go and teach others. And I think this is something similar that happened in you. You heard another voice for the first time, the voice of your soul.
I did. And it was very much, wake up, it's time to wake up. This is not your time to go. We need you. And, it really was that internal knowing that was there and that presence that I had never really paid attention to. And, that in that moment, it was very loud and it came in very strong and really kept me from stepping off of the ledge of the building, actually. It was a very, very immediate and very visceral, and I sort of crumpled down and ended up in a ball on the floor of the roof of my loft building where I was living at the time. And that was the beginning of the transformation. Though there were many years in the journey that, to coming back to healing and holding myself. But that was the beginning.
You mentioned that as a young child, you struggled with obesity. Was the obesity medically induced, or was it something that you were overeating as a child? Was there anything you could do about it, or was it was what it was?
It was part genetics and part it was what it was. My family didn't really know that much about health and nutrition, and they did the best that they could. Right. But my system and my body has always been very sensitive, much more sensitive than a normal individual's. And, so I definitely feel the world in a much more extreme way than most people, and deeply empathetic and, empathic, and really feel the energy of the world around me. And I was always that way, even though I wasn't aware of it. So my body definitely did pack on weight as a form of protection from the world.
Yes.
And I also do have some genetic issues that, have caused trouble and have led to some health problems later on in my life. So it's a mix of physiological and emotional.
And I think it's very common for women that do have this weight problem to feel very badly about themselves, to get to that dark place that you got to. You hear it all the time, and I work with women all the time that get to that dark place and don't think they have a choice or a way out of it, Lainie. It's amazing. You and I were saved. So I know we have a purpose, and that is to go and help others. And that's what you're doing and what I'm doing by the work that we do, because we were saved for a reason. What have you been doing since you had that moment of revelation that you were worthwhile and that you had value and you were meant to be here to do something. Tell us from that place what you've been doing.
Well, I ended up in an interfaith seminary program for 2 years where I was ordained as an
Mm-hmm.
interfaith minister. And that journey at One Spirit Interfaith Seminary really was the beginning of my salvation, you could say. And we did a lot of depth psychology work and really went deep into the shadows and really explored who we were in a very fundamental way with the backdrop of learning about the different wisdom traditions of the different faiths of the world and really exploring how people connect to something larger than themselves, whether it's God or spirit or mystery or Allah or Buddha,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And, that journey was the very beginning of my healing, that being in community with a group of people that were so diverse, I was really able to feel at home and to start to feel love, and my heart started to crack back open. So when my heart started to crack back open, that really helped me to start to begin the journey of loving myself and knowing how to love myself, of stepping into claiming my worth and understanding my value, and helping me to claim my power. Because, for 9 years, I was a dominatrix
Mm-hmm.
and I was very powerful, but it was a very external, put on show of power. It wasn't a true internal claiming of my power and my
It's like an
gifts.
actress going on stage.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was role play was my
Right?
specialty for a
Yeah.
reason. And I was really good at
I
that.
bet.
I was really good at the
Yeah.
surface, but the internal was the part that I really avoided. So the seminary really helped me to go within and to start that process of deep depth inquiry that really is essential to get to know ourselves and to get to know our truth and to remember who we really are and why we're here. Because I do believe that we're all here for a reason, that we all matter, every single person on this planet, and that we're all artists in charge of creating the greatest masterpiece on earth, which is our lives. And that's our charge. And to really discover who we are and to find our authentic expression so we can bring that to the world to help heal, because we're in a profound state of crises in our world.
Isn't that the truth? You talk about, no, I'm getting an echo now that I didn't have before. Are you getting that echo? No? Okay.
I'm not.
Um, you talk about your heart breaking, and I know what that feels like. But I think when we have a broken heart and it cracks open the way that you say it does, it's the first time that light gets to come in. And I think a broken heart for many women can be the beginning of something very powerful for them. I think it can be the beginning of a huge transformation rather than an ending. And I think if we can learn to change our perception on a broken heart, that it can be healed and that it is informative and transformative, it's the beginning. And I love the way that you described that once that happened, your life started to change. One of the things that is absolutely fascinating about you is your creations, your style, your expression of being free and honoring yourself. And I think that this is so important for women. And I'd love you to take us there on how you started all of that. Because look at those earrings. You can't buy those, ladies, anywhere. They're not for sale. You won't find them in a store. This is part of her creations. And I've seen you with just one fabulous piece after another. And you create all of this. And it's coming from your heart. And that's what makes them so beautiful. So tell us a little bit about that aspect of creativity and honoring yourself and living with that joy.
So I think, tying into the heart conversation, I feel like for me, there were different aspects of my heart cracking open. So there was the initial cracking open, but then over the years, there's been this sort of secondary cracking of where my humanitarian heart has really been opening in a way that has led me to want to be of service to others in a very deep and profound way. And part of that is really being my full self and being my full expression and standing in that. So it has so much to do with the presence that we bring to the world. You know, in a sense, it doesn't matter what we're doing, but it's really about how we're doing it and about how we're showing up for our lives in each moment and how mindful and conscious that we are. And so for me, it's really been about, you know, healing that aspect of my self-expression and really being comfortable with it and standing in it and valuing it and honoring it and bringing that presence and being able to sparkle shamelessly out in the world, because that helps others to do so. Clarissa Pinkola Estes has this wonderful quote that is, struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, that really feels like a part of my mission, is just being fully who I am and standing in that. Because the work that I'm doing with others to really help them be more heart-centered and morally courageous and authentic, I'm living from example. And that really is one of the greatest teachings that we can give, is living by example.
What specific steps did you take early on in this process that you could share?
In the process of healing?
Yeah.
So the depth inquiry was really the most important part. So really starting conversations with myself internally and really starting to ask, who am I and why am I here? And seeing what answers would come. Also spending time in silence and just being with myself. So often our world is so full of noise that we don't have the ability to hear that voice that's within us. We don't have the ability to tap into our intuition fully. So for me, a lot of it was also taking time in silence, going on retreats, making sure that I immersed myself in spaces where the sacred was dwelling. Where I could actually hear my soul voice. So that was really very important. The community aspect was invaluable, really being with others and sharing that cracking open with others. So even if it's being in a group meditation or being in a community gathering where people discuss spiritual topics, you know, that container for me was really invaluable because I felt very held and very seen and very known. And I feel like those aspects when you're healing are so important, because when someone else sees you, it helps you to remember. It's a mirror. So the greatest gift is really being in relationship with others, because in that way we're able to remember ourselves.
And I think a wonderful aspect that you're pointing out is sharing your story, sharing your truth. When we do that, we become so empowered. The shame, the guilt, the sizzle of any mistakes, the past, the shit that we have done that we don't want to remember, it's not important anymore. Once we share that, we're free of it. I think we judge ourselves more than anybody else judges us. And if we tell that story and just put it out there, and it cleans the slate, you know? It's over. Doesn't matter anymore. We can be free of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I sort of like to name that in my life. So there's Jeffrey, who I see as judgment, ego, fear, failure, resistance, and yielding. And that's that part of myself that really comes up and tries to keep me from sharing and tries to keep me from showing up fully because of all the trauma in my past and being abused psychologically. But I like to call on Wilma, whose wisdom and intuition and laughter and mastery and authenticity and artistry. And she helps me to remember, you know, this is why I have to move forward. And this is essential to our world. And it's essential for us all to raise the consciousness on the planet in any way that we can. at this time. And so, the deep suffering in our world alone is enough to help me move past that. In most instances, I still struggle sometimes. We all do.
I mean, it's never going to be perfection. And women that push themselves too hard to try to be perfect, I go, whoa, 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 whoa. Ease up. This is a path. Walking. And enjoy it and appreciate it. But it will never be a perfect one. We'll always have challenges. We're always going to have things that come up that try to pull us off our path. But now we go to a different toolbox. We use different practices and steps to get us back on track, to connect to that consciousness, to connect to that higher voice that we all have that guides us, rather than running amok and beating the crap out of ourselves, which is what I was famous for. I was the best beat your crap out of yourself person you ever met. And, until I developed a different toolbox, life didn't change. But now it's absolutely, there are miracles every day in my life now that I once never had. How do you serve women now? What do you do now personally to help them?
So now personally, I work with people both one-on-one and with putting offerings out in the world and my art. And, it's really a form of spiritual development and personal development. And it's helping them to lead more authentic and heart-centered and really morally courageous businesses and lives. So, there's that aspect of helping people to cull not only their full authentic soul expression, but also perhaps the entrepreneurial spirit and how that can be in service and how those two can be married and help to bring, a new solution to our world. It's with my multimedia ministry, it's really coming up with social change media and ways of bringing people together in community that can help raise all of us to a higher vibration. And, that's still unfolding for me too. And what that's going to look like.
I love that. Multimedia ministry. So that people, regardless of where they are, can follow you and your message. Where is it currently? I know you're on Facebook. I know you've got a great social media presence, website, and so let's talk about how people find that multimedia ministry. Where specifically would they go?
So my website, LainieLoveDalby.com, is where most everything lives. I've also been leaning more towards Instagram lately because it's actually my favorite platform, and I really love the intimacy of it and the immediacy and the conversations that can be had. So Instagram is one of my favorite platforms. And I'm also just starting this month a new endeavor called Life is Art Academy. And it's going to be an online e-commerce store with personal and business development tools that are really merging my art and my personal and self-development work together. And so basically creating works of art that are inspirational and transformational. So that's soon to come.
Wonderful. Now, I know that you are generously going to be giving away a free gift to our listeners. I would love for you to describe that a little bit and tell us about it.
So the gift is going to be one of these new creations, and it's called I Am Worthy. And it's an interactive social change e-guide, and it's really meant to take you on a journey that there's part deep inquiry work inside, but also inspiration and tools and practices to really help you fully claim your worth and stand in your power and really bring your deep gifts to the world. It's going to be juicy.
Yeah. Well, everything about you.
And like
I mean, look at those earrings. Look at your color. Show that little shirt you have on today. I mean, oh my God. Oh, you just rock it. There's just such a light about you and a joy that now surrounds you it's captivating. And when you're in your company, like I've been, it's like, wow, Wow. I mean, your energy, you just exude um, such a happiness about who you are today. You embrace yourself completely. It's so authentic, it's real, it is so wonderful. If someone
I would love to offer a blessing, actually. You would be open to that. Okay. So then I would ask that we all place our hands over our hearts and close our eyes and just allow ourselves to be fully present in our bodies in this moment, to feel the earth beneath our feet, to feel Mother Earth supporting us wholly, knowing that we are always held. And as you slow down your breath, feel into your heart. May you know that you matter, that you are a great gift to this world, and that the masterpiece of your life is needed more than ever at this time. May you know that you have endless worth within you, that you are powerful beyond measure, and that your soul longs to sing its unique song, the song that only it can deliver in our world. May you know that you are loved, that you are seen, and that you are known. May you know that this life is a gift. This moment is a gift. This planet that we live on is a deep gift. May you open your heart in this moment, even if it's cracking open, and know that whatever is released is what is needed most at this time, the unique medicine that only you can bring. You are beautiful. You are worthy. And I love you. And so it is. Mm. And hopefully it can lift up anybody who needs it in this very moment. Thank you. As do you.
and so spend this with you.
Thank you. Okay, it's LainieLoveDalby.com. It's LAINIE Love Dalby, DALBY.com. Thank you. It's been an honor.
Namaste.
Love you.